and welcome to the inaugural episode of the Traumatic Tales of Dedman and Grumpy. And what this is going to be is taking the place of the second digital dismemberment. What my friend Grumpy and I are going to be doing is looking at B-grade horror films and just having a fun and comedical look at them. This isn't necessarily the art.
Comedical is a new word.
It is a new word. We'll use it. So this will be a little bit different than digital dismemberment. So I'm going to have Grumpy here say hello and explain how our rating system will work. Grumpy?
Okay, so continuing on with our comedical interest here and our pursuits of comedicalness, we have developed a three-tier system for these, shall we say, less than stellar movies that we are going to be reviewing in this segment. So to make it more fun, we are going to have a three-tier system. So we're going to have skulls. So we're going to give you that movie the 1 to 5 skulls. Skulls will represent the scariness or lameness of some of the movies we're going to be seeing here. Next, we'll have bones. Bones are for all you 14-year-old dudes out there spending an extra few minutes in the shower every day. Bones will represent a scale 1 to 5 of sexiness in the movie. If we're going to see some MX missiles, or if we're just going to be, kind of leering at the silos, as it were. And finally, we have the leaves section. Those will be under the stimulants category. Would you want some herbal tea before your movie watching experience? And we would say, yes, I think I might have wanted a little more herbal tea, leaves, brownies before we actually sat down and watched this movie. It would have been much more enjoyable. So stimulants will be more of a recommendation than an actual rating on the movie.
And this will be a nice break from, the regular digital dismemberments. It's a way to have a little bit of fun. It's a way to talk about some of these older films and even some of these newer films that may not get the spotlight. And remember, we're not sitting here trying to trash a movie. We're going to talk about how fun it would be to watch this with your friends and enjoy the things that you do with them. So let's begin. 420 Massacre. This is a 2018 film directed by Dylan Reynolds and cast a little bit familiar for those who have followed my interviews in the past. Stars Jamie Bernadette, Vanessa Rose Parker, Stacey Danger, Marissa Pistone, Jim Storm, and James Gregory. Interesting film. Actually, Grumpy was the one that brought this film to my attention. So, Grumpy, what did you think of the film?
What was the rating of this movie? MA.
Yes, it is an MA-rated film.
Okay, so the 14-year-old in me saw an MA movie coming on and had something that alluded to there would be 5 young ladies alone in the woods. You see the MA rating, and, you kind of start thinking about the spank bank. So what I did was I decided I was going to DVR this and watch it the next day. And, it kind of went from there. And I watched it, and there was a little bit of disappointment for why I originally recorded this movie. But still came out to be pretty darn entertaining.
Yeah, that is an interesting point when you brought it up. You think about the preconceptions that a lot of horror movies have about stoners being idiots and all of those things. And, you've had like the Evil Bong movies and movies like that. I thought that
Toke of the evil.
I thought they actually did a good job of, while marijuana and the date of 420 are involved in the film, it's not an idiot stoner film.
No,
there's actually a good context behind it.
There is some very good acting in this movie. That Ranger Rick, I think, does a great job in this movie.
Yes.
The special effects parts, those guys, they must have been out of blood and just went and found that old Chef Boyardee can, in the back of the pack wagon. And I got some blood over here, Bob, and they just, kind of did up what they could do. But you shouldn't really see chunks of SpaghettiOs in the blood stains on the murder victims. But beyond that, it was entertaining.
No, I mean, I'll give you that. As an effects artist, sometimes I've been in that position sometimes where an idea will come and you just kind of have to go with what's there. And whether that was the intention or not, the film certainly had more digital effects in it than I'm accustomed to. I've always liked more of the hands-on approach. But I think overall, with the compelling story, it had a nice twist at the end. Like I said, a good portrayal of stoners that's not just a bunch of idiots bumbling in the woods. And, you know, people talk about, movies needing to have more of a strong female roles. You talk about not necessarily feminists, but I mean,
there's some strong female roles in here. That big girl that professes her love for the other one looks like she should be working security down there at Scissor Kicks.
I mean,
but
that's yeah. I mean, there were you never got a feeling that any of the characters were inferior. It was nice to see that the one girl had it, the lead, Jamie, had it under control. In a moment of crisis, she did come through, and it's.
I feel sorry for her for when she fell down. I don't know if she was like 1 or 2, but it definitely had an effect.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. And like I said, it was a compelling story. There's all different ways you can go. We've seen the possessed bongs. We've seen. Scary Movie 2, where the pot plant comes to life and tries to smoke. All of that stuff that happens. This actually had kind of a plausible theory behind it. I mean, in real life, maybe you take the mass murdering and killing out of it because it brings attention. But, I mean, it certainly talks about how these things are going on in national parks and out in the world where, a plant that should be legal is being grown under these conditions.
You know for a fact that a Native American never partook of the devil's weed, Michael. You know that at one time, this was a sinless nation of people running around chasing prairie dogs and bullshit. Wow. And we didn't have the marijuana fields growing that we have growing nowadays by the Satan's weed. Okay, I'm going to stop that now.
No, I mean, it was just like, it was interesting. Again, people ought to, when you think of a stoner horror film, people have this misconception that it's going to be Jay and Bob, against some slasher out in the woods. It was an intelligent film. There were good, strong female leads. I thought the camera work was good. Again, the effects, and I'm nitpicking because I'm an effects artist, but I think overall, it was a good movie. It was very well written. I thought the surprises where they were needed to be. It didn't have to rely on like the cheap jump scares.
No, it didn't rely on cheap jump scares. You just got some, a little too close up with a couple of those girls, and I recoiled. I looked at my beautiful wife. I refreshed my brain cells, and then I started watching the movie again. The choreography of the action sequences is what I had a problem with. At one point, our heroine is supposed to be this kung fu master. She kicks people's ass, she takes people down. And, in her first attack scene, she picks up a tree branch, and now she has turned into Babe Ruth, holding that thing over her shoulder, looking like she is going to knock them into left field, while in reality, she should have been doing the Bruce Lee shit, taking them down, kicking those kneecaps and all that bullshit.
Again, we have to remember, what would you do in that situation? I mean, we're both pretty creative guys, I think we could survive a horror, a real life horror event, something similar, but you don't know. But I still think overall it was an entertaining way to spend an hour or two and just relax for a minute, just let go. It certainly has a darker side. It had more of a subversive side. It was definitely, it rubbed your nose in it a little bit when it came to the violence and the deaths, but at the same time, I think it was creative.
Well, it was definitely created. When you see a water bong get shoved up some girl's mouth and out the back of her head.
I know, it's nuts.
I would absolutely suggest that. And then another victim has his eyes burned out with a blunt, which is absolutely hilarious. because the killer actually takes a big old hit off of that hog leg first,
Yes.
blows the smoke in his face, and then burns his eyes out with a blunt. You will not see this in many movies.
How about the bong through the back of the
The
head?
bong through the back of the head with the brain material inside the bong. Whoever is cashing that bong out, you got a hell of a hit to take.
So yeah, I mean, it was really good. And, you know, I really think it's something that fans should check out. I think it was an entertaining film. It's well worth checking out. A little bit more on the culty side, depending on what you like. But check it out. And let's see what the ratings are. And here's my final ratings for the 420 Massacre. As far as skulls go, I give it about a 2.5, maybe 3. Like I said, this isn't really a jump scare movie. It's also not a total gore movie, so this is not one of those ones that's going to make you afraid to go to sleep at the end of the night. Bones, as far as sexiness, I would give it about a 2.5. I mean, the movie's not really made to be one that showcased a lot of nudity or sexual situations, even though there are a few intimate moments in the film. There were definitely some attractive actresses in the film as well. As far as stimulants, well, I mean, hell, the movie is called The 420 Massacre. If you're going to watch a movie and smoke a bunch of pot, this one's it. I give it a 4 out of 5. Weaves, that is.
Well, I'm looking at my 3-tier system here, and I'm telling you, it's one of those things where you just kind of rub your face and really think hard about how you want to rate this movie. Skulls, you know, I'm going to give him some props for creativity there, because our killer does run around in a fucking ghillie suit. So I have not seen people murdered by a big blob of pampas grass in a scary movie before. So I'm only going to go 2 skulls. Wasn't a whole lot that scared me in this movie, but you know, I got to give them some props for the creativity there. Okay, so let's look at the bones. Bones, oh my goodness. There's one scene where they're down by the river and a shirt's going up and a face is going down. And, you know, for you guys starting out, the 12, 13-year-old guys, you'll be good for this. But, you know, us normal grown-ups, I'd say, you know, 1.5 bones. You know, you might want to turn it over to Playboy Channel for a minute if you're looking for that, because I don't think you're going to find it here. And leaves, stimulants, yeah, 5 out of 5, and you'll laugh your ass off and have a good time.
And tonight's podcast was brought to us by our new sponsor. Sponsored, take it away.
This week's sponsor is My Psycho Son's ghillie suits. That's right, folks. Look like a rock, a tree, or a pile of rat turds? We have all your camo needs. Do you want to look like a pile of pampas grass? Well, we can make that happen. Do you want to hide in plain view? We can make that happen. Do you want to drive a bong through the back of some girl's head? Well, we can't do that. But order right now. You'll save 20% on any ghillie suit used primarily for guarding your marijuana grove or killing young lesbian lovers down by the creek. So I tell you what, check us out online right now, psychosonghillie.biz or youwon'tseeme.org.